My name is Dr. Angela Barnett. I am the author of Turning into Light, the timeline of manifesting infinite probabilities, 2017 through 2039. Period 2039 through 2040, when the majority of the population of Earth turns into light. This is a dialogue that I had with Elaika, who is one of my fellow creators, who has created everything in this universe and all of the universes with me and the creation team. And he explains what will happen in 2039. I think nobody can explain it better than Elaika because he has done it himself many times. I want to talk about the big event, even bigger than the landing. The time of 2039 when everybody disappears. Does everybody disappear at once?
What?
Will everybody disappear at once that is not in the third dimension?
No, it will not happen at once.
Oh.
It will be interval. Some people will, more than one will disappear at once, but not the whole group. Let me tell you why, because they're all on their own programs. They're all on their own perceptions and belief systems. So they will disappear when that moment comes that their perception is just right for them to do so. So this is when they will go. And some will reach that point at the same time. Others will reach it before this person will reach it, and then realize, they reached it. I must be close also, and they will reach it in a very short period of time. Or they may say, oh no, I'm not ready, and then it will take a little bit longer, then they will reach it. But for the most part, it will be like flashing lights. The one will go here, one will go there, a couple will go, 500 will go, 1,000 will go, but not all at once.
By all at once, like within a year's time, all at once?
Oh yes, within 18 months, yes.
So about 2039, 2040, that time period?
Yes, and then that will be the majority. 95% will go within that time. And then there will be a few stragglers, of course. That last 5% will finally disappear in the next 6 months or so after that.
Oh. And so 20, but nothing before 2039, except for the few early people.
It's not likely, but there will be some.
So there is a time when it just all goes.
It is what is predicted. Now that can all change, of course, with decisions of mankind, society being more harsh, etc., things of that nature. But that is the predicted time as now.
I see. Can you tell me anything about what they will see after they disappear? What will they see?
Well, I can tell you what third-dimensional people will see, and I will tell you what fourth-dimensional people will see. First of all, third-dimensional people will see these people becoming invisible. And they will still see them for a while. It's not just instant invisible, but they just start to become transparent, and then they get less and less. And you may even be able to say goodbye if there's someone standing there. Oh yes, I see I'm becoming invisible. Bye-bye, I'm on my way out, and I will see you in a little. It will take about 45 seconds, and then you will be gone. But you would actually start to disappear. But it's like you become a ghost eventually, and then the ghost becomes lighter and lighter, and then you'll be gone. And you will feel fantastic. You will feel like every molecule of your body is excited, like everything is awake and on fire. And joy will be covered all over your body. Isn't that a wonderful thought?
Yes, it is.
And it will last for a little while, but it won't last permanently, because that's the transition period as you will feel it. Then, because I've been through it. So, and the other thing is, when you get there, when you get to the other side, you will feel this joy for at least an hour. It just will be, you will be basking in it. You'll be thanking God for this feeling. You won't even be able to express how happy that you are feeling. You won't be able to express to anyone the joy that is in this particular transformation. And when you finally come out of that, you will see a great amount of color. Because, why? Because the third dimension only has a certain amount of color that they can see, because it is a more dense and a more solid density. And when you come to the fourth, which is slightly higher, the colors will be a little brighter. They will be a little more diverse. You will see things as more neon looking, because it is, your eyesight will be a greater kind of vision, a greater kind of expanded vision. Your thought processes will be that this is normal. But you'll remember that you'll think, wow, everything is looking so bright. You will get used to that. You'll get used to that. And then you will move into a more normal kind of life after a few days, but a lighter feeling about the body. The body is lighter, and you'll say to yourself, I want to go back and experience that all over again. But you must move forward and experience the fourth dimension, because there's much there to experience, and it is a wonderful, you will feel wonderful. Now, there's negativity there as well, and there are things to deal with there as well, but I'm not going to go into that right now, because there has to be a balance. There has to be a reason for you to feel the joy and be grateful for it and not take it for granted. There must be that kind of payoff that you, whenever you're feeling this great joy, you know you can remember what sorrow was, so that you don't take the joy for granted. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because
I don't believe it, but I understand it. Yes.
You have to appreciate it.
I understand. So, what you are describing to me is what and I think a lot of people would assume it looks like when you're going into what we have been calling the fifth dimension, not the fourth dimension.
Yes. Well, you see, everyone has a different language, a different definition. You know why? Because you live in the third dimension, and you don't really know what you're experiencing. Or am I experiencing fourth dimension? Am I experiencing fifth dimension? What is it that I'm experiencing? And so people put labels on it that they don't really know what it is. So they assume that they are correct, and they ask other beings, and other beings have different definitions of where they are, because they call their dimension whatever they call it. And so if you learn from one, you'll think the fourth dimension is actually the fifth dimension, and you'll learn from some that the fifth dimension is actually the fourth dimension. So just wipe that out of your mind, because you will learn the truth when it happens, and you will experience it as you believe that it should be. So maybe you might move from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. I think not, but I think that you'll understand where you are when you get there.
One of the definitions of fourth dimension, and this was given by Bashar, is that the fourth dimension is just being able to see yourself as the third dimension.
I understand that to a point, yes. You can see your third dimensional self from fourth dimension, yes. He is talking about a fourth dimensional mindset, but he is not talking about being in the fourth dimension. Because if you are in the fourth dimension, you are not looking at the third dimension. He is talking about your fourth dimensional energy in your brain can look and see your third dimensional system in a big picture and understand it in a greater way, because there's more information from the fourth dimensional coming there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. However, when you are in the fourth dimension, you're not going to be wanting to look at the third dimension. You're going to be wanting to live in the fourth dimension.
Yes.
So he's talking about a fourth dimensional mindset, so that you can actually observe the third dimension right now. He's talking about right now.
That's not what he said. He actually said that that he is in the fifth dimension now, and we're coming to join him.
Oh, well, you see, his definitions of the fourth and fifth dimension are different. So that is fine. Let him have his dimension. Let him have his definition.
The
Essasanis
they went through this process themselves over the last 3,000 years, and he's saying they went through this process of going into the fifth dimension, and we're doing what he did.
We label things differently to make it easier for you. Mm-hmm. You see, how is it that you can go from the third dimension to the fifth dimension and skip over the fourth one?
Because we think we went into the fourth dimension in 2012. That's why.
Now, and that's not true.
That's what we were told.
So you have to go to the third, to the fourth, then to the fifth. Okay. It is a rise, a gradual expansion, an evolution, but you see, his definitions of these, what's happening, are different. And the reason why he can do that and say that is because he can examine each now from his point of view, and sometimes he can take he is in the fifth dimension, he can take a third dimensional thought and make it the present. So he's seeing that the third dimension can go to the fifth dimension because he can do it, but you see, right now, humanity can't take their nows and move to the fifth dimension. That's the future. That's something beyond what they can do. They must work through the energies. They must not jump from third dimension to fifth dimension. That just doesn't happen. But he can see it maybe from his point of view. I can understand where Bashar might be a little confused about that, but I don't agree with him.
Or he might be talking about a 1,000-year period of going from the third to the fifth, not.
That is very possible.
This fourth we're going through.
I'd have to listen to that particular program to understand exactly what he meant, but from what you're saying, that is what I'm thinking that he meant. Yeah, I have not seen that particular program or heard him speak about that at all. But I can tell you, I know for myself, and I know for what you are going to go through, that the fourth dimension is the next dimension, at least in my understanding. And you can't go too far ahead. It just makes no sense. You cannot bounce to the fifth dimension without experiencing the fourth dimension in its fullness.
But some of us were told we moved into the fourth dimension in the year 2000 even.
But that is, you are experiencing some of the fourth dimension. But look around. Are you able to walk through walls? Are you able to do things that are fourth dimensional? Not quite yet.
Well, see,
your mind is expanding in the fourth dimension. That is true.
Yeah,
and your mind is, in a greater sense, in the fourth dimension than it ever was before. However, you are still living in third density. I mean about living in the fourth density is very different than where you are now. You're worried about money, you're worried about this and that and the other thing. There will not be those worries there in the same way. They will take on a whole different scenario when you are living in the fourth dimension. Right now, your mind can grasp some fourth dimensional thought processes, and you can do many things in your sleep in the fourth dimension. And that is what they're talking about. You have come a long way as a species in the third dimension, becoming fourth dimensional in your thought processes and your mindsets. But your bodies are still third dimensional. You cannot put your hand through your body. You cannot put your hand through your brain or anything like that. When you're in the fourth density, there will be certain things that you can do that you cannot do in the third dimension. And that is walk through some walls that were designed for you to walk through because of your density. You can actually put your finger through the top layer of your skin, not all the way through your body, but you can actually put your finger through the top layer of your skin, because this will help you to understand if there's a lump underneath the skin or whatever. The density is much lighter.
I understand. Everything that you have said is what people have been defining as fifth dimensional. So that's the problem. That's the problem.
So fifth dimensional is when the body actually moves into that. Mm-hmm. You see, right now you're in fourth dimensional mind thoughts and able to do many things in the fourth dimension, but your body is not.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and when you move into the fourth dimension, the body becomes lighter all the way.
Okay, I totally understand.
Sort of like Joe. Joe is about 20% to, well, maybe not quite, about 18% to the fourth dimensional physically. He can't. He still can't walk through walls or anything of that nature. But he can. But he is feeling lighter,
yes.
And he's feeling much less third dimensional in some ways.
True.
Do you understand that, Joe?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
See, that he does understand it.
I know
he feels the lightness.
His hand doesn't weigh anything.
Yes. So that, you see, they're describing the fifth dimension as the fourth dimension, and you're still in the third. The mind is in the fourth. The mind is grasping the fourth. The mind is holding on and learning, and this is a preparation for the fourth. This is the preparation that you must go through to become fourth dimensional, and then fifth dimension, you'll go through something similar with the fifth dimension, because then the mind will become fifth dimensional, and then you will move to the fifth dimension. But
okay,
you see, people get confused.
I think
you
the answer
must go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot skip a dimension. And the dimension that you're in is third, even though the fourth dimensional thought process is already awakened, and you are still bringing information from the fourth dimensional down. So therefore, yes, enjoy that. That is wonderful, and you will experience the lightness of the fourth dimension when you go there.
Okay.
But it will be different than just a mindset.
Okay. The reason that I'm asking these questions is really very simple. The person I asked you about 2 days ago, Ashiana Dion, who has been doing the training for the crystal children, opening the stargates. The fifth dimensional thing came from her. As a matter of fact, she's telling us we're going to become 8th dimensional and 12th dimensional. This is where that teaching came, and it's a very strong teaching on Earth, and it's going to be very difficult to undo. That is what people believe on Earth now. So me telling people...
Not everyone believes that, but
well,
let me
not
tell
everyone.
You this. There is up to 7, we define it up to 7 dimensions. Within each dimension, there are levels. Like you are in an upper level of the third dimension. Because the lower levels of the third dimension were primitive people, and back in the day where they're creating the wheel and things. That's the first part of third dimension. They're in third dimension, but they're not thinking in any way fourth dimensional. They're not thinking in any way intellectually. They do have a brain, and they do have thought processes, and they do have instincts and things of this nature. So as time goes on, you evolve. You are now up to a higher portion of the third dimension, so that you're getting closer to third dimensions. You're getting very close to entering the fourth dimension. And so now you're feeling that it's sort of a blend of third and fourth dimension right now. And then you will move into the lower parts of the fourth dimension. You will not start out at the higher parts. Of course, you must move through. But the thing is about that, you see, they're seeing each little separation as another level of, they're saying, oh, there's another level. That must be dimension, that must be the fourth dimension, that must be the fifth dimension. And so they have all these dimensions, whereas we break it down into 7 and make each part of there's 10 parts of each dimension to go through. So each level, like you start at the primitive and work into the higher portions. It's all in how you're educated And that's fine. Let them talk about it that way. I see what they're seeing. They're taking each level of the third dimension and making it another dimension. So, which is, in some ways, I understand it because, yes, you do change on each level of those dimensions, but you're still in third dimension, hard, can't walk through things. So that's how we define it. Whenever you change your density is when you go to the next.
I understand.
But they can talk about it all they want and actually be sort of correct.
I understand.
But they have it broken down a lot. It makes it a lot harder to understand what they're talking about when they break it down into so many things. And so we simplify it by making it third dimension is this density. It doesn't, your density doesn't change. And the next is this density, and your density doesn't change. And the next dimension is this density, and the dimension. You see what I'm saying? Until you get to the very top of it, then it moves, the brain starts to move into the next dimension.
I understand. And you said that, but there are 10 parts to each dimension. Did you say 10?
7.
Yes, we broke it down into 10.
Okay. Well, see, she broke it down into 12. She said there were 12 parts to every dimension. And that messes it up,
12 parts to everything?
To each dimension. Like you said, there's 10 parts to each dimension. She said there's 12 parts to each dimension.
Well, that's just the way she has defined it.
Okay.
That's
that's why I was asking you before if her teachings are correct, because I've been following her teachings, which have been very helpful, but there's so much of it that's incorrect, and I don't know what's incorrect and what's correct. That's why it's difficult.
Well, I'm just telling you how our creator system looks at it. Mm-hmm. We break things into tenths for you and for ourselves because 10 is actually, when you reach 10, there's a new beginning because 10 is a numerology number which means beginning.
Mm-hmm. So the 12 doesn't...
She breaks it into 12. 1, 2 is a 3, which is a power number, which is also nice. But I just break it down with our numerology systems from the higher realms as a beginning number. So, yes.
No, everything that she is teaching is based on the 12 coded. She says that the divine template, the divine human angelic race is all based on this 12 coded template. That's where
what
the 12
template is that?
That's where the 12 comes from. The divine template.
She's getting that from the Bible. 12 disciples, 12 this, 12 that. I understand that. That's fine. And it is sort of because of her belief systems. It's all right. She can break everything into 12 if she wishes. I break it into 10.
But there are 12 stargates.
There are 12 stargates, absolutely.
And I think that's where everything she does comes from, because she's teaching the 12 stargates, and so everything she does is based on this 12, and she goes back to this template that everything is 12, 12. Our cells are made of 12, and the stargates are 12, and everything's 12.
Yes, we don't have to be so symbolic in the creator life. We can have whatever we want and make it whatever we want. We are creators. So we do it, we create things the way we can remember it best. Now, you see, the creator world did not make 12 stargates. That was aliens from ancient past. We did not do that. So 12 was their number too. That's wonderful. I am so glad. But it does not mean that is my number.
So the 12 is not relayed, does not mean Christic race lines.
No, but God did 12 in his carnations of things, because 3, 1 and 2, 12 is a 3. That is a power number. So he just wanted to add that much more success to it.
And speaking of these numbers, the way Cryon explained, they've been talking about, some are talking about fifth dimensional, some are talking about 5DNA. 2017 we changed to 5DNA, and Cryon explains 5DNA in this numerology thing of adding this chakra plus this chakra plus this chakra adds up to 5. Is that correct?
Yes, I understand it. I know what he's talking about, but like I said, that is their system, and we have ours, and that's fine. They can teach their system all they want. I love Cryon. I think he's a wonderful person, and he's a great-hearted. He's getting most of his information from Pleiadia, from the Pleiadians, of course. So that he'll take on their information more than anybody else's. We are from the creator dimension, so don't get caught up in all these different teachings about numbers and the different things. You will remember when you get out here what the number system that we go by and why we do it. So just let it go for the number system.
Okay. So
because it is different with every teacher. Every teacher will teach you something different.
Okay.
So that is a different teaching than even the ones about 12.
Okay.
So you understand,
I understand
that there's some that go, but there are certain numbers like 3 and 6 and 9 that are pretty standard everywhere, and number 1.
I understand. So does DNA have anything to do with anything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
DNA does have things to do with things. It's in your DNA, some of your traits. So if you have alien DNA, you may have some traits that other people don't have. And then because, like, say, the Fandorians have greater IQ, they have a greater sense of spirituality, but their other thing is they have a greater sense of the chakral system. And they ignite it all the time because they want to experience their lives in the fullest way possible. And the chakra ignitions help them to feel a deeper creativity, a deeper sexuality, a deeper warmth of the heart, a deeper love, because they're in such a high density that some of that gets lost. So whenever they brighten their chakras, they're able to bring themselves back into a really loving state, a really sensual or sexual state, a really an appetite state, a thought state, many things in the chakras that are awakened by the Kundalini, they do that quite often. And when you get older in the Fandorian system, it's not quite as bright anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's just like everything wears out a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the way it is there. It doesn't quite work as much, but after about 150 or 60 years, it starts to lighten up a bit. But still, it still works.
So as far as DNA goes, though, it's not like the more DNA you have, the better you are, or the higher you are, or something? Is there a relationship? No relationship.
Not necessarily. A lot of people have lots of DNA, but guess what? They're still basically the same as they were born, with maybe a few extra traits, but nothing that will make them extraterrestrial, because they don't give them that high of a quality of DNA to change them. It is not what they are looking for. They want to strengthen their body, they want to strengthen their DNA and bring out the traits that were there to begin with, that God gave you for this lifetime, so that you can become more of yourself. So therefore, when these different DNAs come into the body, they are there to help the original DNA to become even more strong and better.
Oh, good.
So we're not moving from 4 DNA to 5 DNA. We're not moving from 3 DNA to 4 DNA, or third dimension,
no,
like third dimension, fourth dimension.
Actually, humans only have 2 strands of DNA, but with all the connections and things. And I can go into talking about that. But you are starting to grow the third strand, the third. What are they called? I'm not sure. You will have 3 soon, and that is 4th dimensional.
Oh, 3 strands is 4th dimensional. So
yes, 2 strands is 3rd.
Oh. You can't. I don't even want to tell you all the theories going on down here. Just crazy. We've been told that that's not even true because you're really connected to all these infinite DNA. So you actually have layers and layers and layers of infinite DNA, and this is just
that is true. Let me explain something to you. Whenever you're talking about DNA, you can never be specific because there's a certain part of the DNA which is called junk DNA, which means they don't know exactly what it does.
Right, and that's what we're talking about.
It is at the ends of the strands,
exactly.
And it is not part of the active DNA. It is there to become active, but yet you as human beings have not discovered all the things in the junk DNA that are there, such as when it becomes active, it connects different portions of the brain to the DNA and to the body and all these different things.
Actually, we've discovered all of that.
Everything is there to make you
most
a godlike
people
creature,
are talking
just under God, of course, but it's not all connected up because you're not evolved that way yet.
But see, that is what everybody's talking about. We don't even talk about the 2 DNA anymore. We talk only about the junk DNA. That's how we talk on Earth now. We're not even talking about that anymore. So people are always talking about, oh, we have 5 layers, and you have 8 layers, and you have 20 layers, and you have 1,000 layers, and so...
You know what? They're guessing because they cannot know how many layers are there because the junk DNA is not all activated. If you activated it all the junk DNA that there is, the layers would be outrageously huge. However, if you activate all the junk DNA, people would still be different and have different amounts because as evolution goes on, you may have 1 billion strands of DNA and others may have 999,999,999. And you may experience things because of mutations throughout your evolutions that will change people, and the directions of your species may separate, and probably more than once, and that's why there's so many reptilian species. That's why there's so many gray species. And there's, they go to different places and start different thought processes, and so it's just the way it is.
Okay. So everything that I have taught on Earth has been a lie. I'm just a liar. I've lied about everything.
No.
I'm just a liar.
No, it's your perception of it.
No, it's what I was taught. All we know is what we're taught. And everything I was taught is wrong.
Is what I'm saying making any sense, though?
Oh, totally. 100%. I totally understand you. But see,
very good.
But
so I'm just telling you what my perception of everything is as a God being. Now, you see, human perception, gray perception, insectoid perception, all different. Everyone has a different perception of how things happen. But as a creator being, I can tell you very simply how it happens.
Well, to me, what you're
not complicated at all.
What you're saying is true, and everything else I've learned is a lie. So I'm a liar. I have to burn all of my books.
No, you were just talking correctly.
You just.
But I wrote it and told other people it was true.
What you thought was the truth, and
right.
you did, and you resonated with it to some point. Now you resonate with this, do you not?
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Yes. But it's going to be very difficult to sell because people like the other story better.
It's all right. It's just like you may like a non-fiction book better than you like a fiction book, right. And others will like fiction books better than non-fiction.
Exactly. But not very many
and
people.
One is true and one is not. But they say, you know what? The fiction book is a lot more fun.
Yes.
I think I'll go with that.
Yes, that's where they all go. That's.
Yes. And so what? Non-fiction is rather black and white. Mm-hmm. It's rather right there. It's very simple. There's not a lot of complexity. Oh, yes, if you're going to break down the universe and algorithms and do all these different things, then it will be complex. And there are people that are doing that, breaking everything into mathematics, blah, blah, blah. So, and what are they going to accomplish by that? They're never going to figure out the algorithm for God, because his algorithm goes on forever. So they're going to say, well, God, he's a little different story. But I can map out the universe in algorithms and mathematics, which is true. You can.
Okay. So I need to burn all my books. I thought I only had 4 mistakes in my books. Now I know the whole book's wrong. I have to start over again. That's okay. I like to start over again.
New books.
Because I learn something new every time. Okay, I found all of those places that you were telling me that where all the stargates were. I got the list. I
you
know
want
that.
To know all the places?
I know them. No, I know everything. I just forgot. I know everything. It's
absolutely. Well, I can refresh your memory if you need.
Haley, South Pole, Sarasota, Florida, Bermuda Islands, Cairo, Giza, Egypt, Machu Picchu, Moscow, Russia, Lake Titicaca, Xi'an, China, Bamso, Heo, Tibet, Abadan, Iran, Vale of Pissy, South England, Montségur, South France, and those align. And I know their alignments. I know their universe alignments. I know their galactic alignments. I know everything. So that lessons.
Yes.
I just forgot
Yes.
that I knew that. I just forgot.
Very good. I'm glad that you remembered.
I was giving it a different name.
The English one is Stonehenge, close to Stonehenge.
Oh, I knew that, but it's not written there. I know that, yes.
Yes, it's close to Stonehenge.
And
but you might have the right place, the
right.
name of the city right by it or something.
Right.
But yes, it is close to Stonehenge.
So what we were talking about last time, the lion, see on where the stargates are, see all the dots on the stargates, this lion fits on those dots. That's why we're talking about the lion.
Excellent.
The number 1 is there, 2 is there, 3. It fits.
Well, the lion is sitting. If you go to Revelations, the lion is sitting on the right-hand side of God.
Yeah. So that's where that's why we were asking you about if that was true, that Sphinx.
Yes, absolutely. I see what you're talking about now. My conception of it was a little different, but that is true.
But the reason that I was asking about it is because our history book says that was created in about 5.5 million years ago. So you were here, and
yes,
and the story.
It was actually even longer ago that was created, because, well, not much longer, but a little longer ago than that. As soon as the Earth was formed, the thought process began.
Mm-hmm. And was there a race line called the Leonin Anahazi here at that time?
I think that's what they called themselves at that time, yes.
Well, Joe thinks he has a friend named Lacedemus that was a Leonin Anahazi. That's why this is interesting to us.
Macademus?
No, Lacedemus.
I know that name.
Lacedemus.
Oh.
I know the name.
Oh, wonderful.
Lacedemus was a creator being.
Oh.
He's a good friend of Joe's.
Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful entity. Wow.
Joe talks to him all the time.
I've talked with him several times, even the last few years.
He's a creator being, that's why.
Oh.
We've been in many lives together and have been friends throughout eternity.
Wow. Wonderful.
So the story is that Joe remembers making this Sphinx in memory of his friend Lacedemus, and the Sphinx image was originally, Joe remembers being the architect of that. Is there any?
And perhaps was. I did not keep up with Earth history. There's about 40 billion planets out there, so I do know that he is an architect of many things.
Joe?
And the Sphinx, oh yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I was right.
Yes, he is.
He's a great architect in the sky.
Because Lacedemus is here and he said yes.
Oh. Say hi, Joe.
Oh, hi. Hi, Lacedemus. Yay.
He is saying hello.
Oh,
and
wonderful.
And he can hardly wait till you're a creator being again, because you had so much fun.
Oh, boy. Yay.
Yes, you were very compatible, good friends.
Oh, good. Because, yeah, I talked with him one time here, and it was just like, wow, what a great, wonderful fellow. What a wonderful...
He is.
Yes.
And he loves you dearly, and he misses you at times, but he does talk to you all the time.
Oh, okay.
So, but not always in the same way. So
Okay.
he's a creator being, so he speaks to you in many different ways. So
Okay.
that's fine.
Yes. Wonderful.
And Joe remembers being friends with Merlin, too. Is that right?
Prince?
Merlin.
Yes, Merlin. I know who the original Merlin was, yes.
And Joe remembers being good friends with him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He was one of his apprentices, and he was very powerful. Joe was very powerful. Although his name does not appear in history, he did some historical things back then that Merlin got credit for.
Joe did?
Yes.
What was Joe's name?
His name was Persimmon.
Persimmon. Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've always thought of Joe as the great architect in the sky.
Yes.
That's who he
Wonderful.
is.
Beautiful thought. Yes, it is.
It's kind of who he is.
Yes.
Oh. So that's who co-creators are. The architects in the sky. And we know everything about everything created in all light particles at every angle and every dimension and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Did you want to
It's
ask?
a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yes, it
Don't
is.
you just feel light and just full of joy at this time?
Yes.
It's just a wonderful time.
Yes.
And you are moving slowly into fourth dimension, and so you should be. That is why you're laughing all the time, because you're becoming lighter and more energy. In some ways, more energetic. Your worry is starting to come down in some ways. You're not worried as much as you used to be, but you're still somewhat.
Yeah.
But let it go. Let it move forward. Let yourself become even more fourth dimensional. Love it, and feel the lightness. Actually, you're going to start feeling the density that Joe is in your body, because it's going to start to. Actually, you're about 3%, and he's about 80%. So it is moving into you already, but you have to become a little calmer.
I understand.
Not worry so much.
I know how to do it now. I figured it out this morning.
Yes, and I think when you write your book now, you're going to be very calm. You're going to be very enlightened and very expressive.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, I wrote a chapter this morning, and it was so far beyond anything I had ever written before.
Of course it is.
So now that I
That's
know,
because you are talking to me.
That's right.
now that I know everything I wrote before is wrong, I just start over again, and that's fun for me. I like
But
starting
you
over.
see, it wasn't really wrong. It just was not in the right perception. But now you have a different perception, and so I don't like to say anything's wrong, because even though I do every now and then, but I like to say people perceive things in so many different ways that it's just their perception of how it is at that moment. But the true perception is what you're going to write about. Something much more truer in perception and in fullness, and it will be much more powerful. You will see.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Last time you said something about when I got knocked off of my horse when I was 13 years old, and we had a meeting because you missed me so much, and you mentioned something about upgrading me so that I would be able to write better.
And that is coming through now, yes.
And so
and
that
you're going to write better and better and better. You're not done writing.
so writing is something very important for me. This is something.
Absolutely.
This is what
And
I'm
you'll
supposed
see,
to do.
When you finish this book, it's going to be different, and it's going to be more read than your other ones.
Oh.
Because it's going to be purer and more direct.
Yeah, see, that this is what I wanted to ask you about. I'm feeling this importance of my writing if I'm leaving here in 6 years, there needs to be a story left behind about Mary Magdalene, and all of this information
And there will be.
needs to be written.
Because you'll write it, and it won't take long for you to write that story. But it's not to be written quite yet. You must do the writing you started first.
Okay. And will there be a way that this writing goes out to the world later?
Of course. Of course it will. Of course.
Because it doesn't seem to be going anyplace right now.
But you see, appearances are very, very confusing. You've been read by probably a couple million aliens already. So that's deceptive, isn't it?
Yes. We have another question about shifting. If I get rid of this problem I have and get shifted in 6 years, we actually leave this earth altogether. Is that correct? So there is no
You
reason.
will have to if you shift.
There's no reason to. I mean, this house that we live in will just stay here, but we will.
Course.
And
You're
we
not
will
going
be.
to shift the house.
And we will be gone. So
Yeah.
it would be a good
You will be
idea.
gone. The house will remain.
But so I'm thinking that those people I know that will stay third dimension, I should give this house to them before we leave. That's what I.
They'll take it. Don't worry.
But I wanted to give it to who I want to give it to.
Well, then that is up to you. You have free will with that,
But this
and
is
that is a good thing.
okay.
So,
That's
yes,
why I wanted to know that
do it.
I can give it to somebody because I don't need it. They can have everything here. I don't need any of this stuff. So when we shift, is there a house waiting for us up there?
There are things waiting for you that you have no idea.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
So the good news, the
You
reason.
see, it is not that God is not prepared for humans to shift. He is just not seeing that shift right now, but he will prepare. When he sees you're about to shift, he'll prepare things.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So we will have a home there.
Oh, of course.
And if we go earlier than other people, then we get to be there all by ourselves?
No, there are some that have already shifted.
Oh.
And there are other people there that have been there for a long time. You will just get to know the people of the fourth dimension.
Oh, wonderful.
I see. Wonderful. Okay. These
It
are...
depends on, also you get to decide which planet you want to go to or which area you want to go to, that kind of thing.
Cool. Oh.
Everything that you are saying is what was defined as fifth dimensional. That's the problem here.
Yeah, they skipped over fourth.
Yeah. So this is good news. This is what I just need to change the definitions. That's all, because
Correct.
they just
Your fourth dimensional thought process is one thing, but actually living in fourth dimension is another.
Yes.
yes, that yeah. So they're talking about this is fourth and moving there is fifth. That's what they did. I
No. You're
understand.
still third density. You are not able to walk through walls. You are not able to do the things that are in the fourth density.
Right. The thing is that teachers have been teaching about this for so long that students
Yes,
going to a
and
class
what
learning
kind of
it.
information were they getting back then? Their minds were not evolved enough to receive the information as it should have been received.
Right.
And so now the minds are opening up. Every year the mind gets a little sharper. The mind gets a little more open. There's more fourth dimensional energy flowing. So yes, the information is going to get clearer and clearer.
The book writing subject, I got inspired to write this book because there is a convention in Los Angeles where David Wilcock is the keynote speaker,
And so I got this interest in David Wilcock because you told me to explore him. And then I discovered he was doing this convention, but I should not plan on going anywhere in February. I should be landing spaceships. Isn't that correct?
Well, you can do that no matter where you are, of course.
Oh. So it would be okay.
You can do that no matter where you are.